EP demands I give her son my spot in a popular limited enrollment class because he needs it more. I'm involved in a local community center that offers various classes and workshops. One of the most popular is a robotics class for kids and teens. It's quite advanced and taught by a retired engineer, so spots are highly sought after and fill up within minutes of registration opening. There's usually a waiting list that's longer than the class roster itself. My nephew, who is absolutely fascinated by engineering and robots, has been trying to get into this class for 2 years. This year, I managed to be online the exact second registration opened and snag one of the last spots for him. He was ecstatic. I paid the registration fee immediately, and we were all set. A few days later, I was at the community center picking up a brochure for a different program when I ran into a woman I vaguely knew from around the neighborhood. Let's call her EP. She has a son, EK, who's the same age as my nephew. We exchanged pleasantries, and she asked what I was doing there. I mentioned I just registered my nephew for the robotics class and how excited he was. EP's face immediately changed. No, robotics class? Mado. Oh, EK wanted to get into that? He's brilliant with computers, a real natural engineer. He was so disappointed he couldn't get a spot. I said, oh, that's too bad. It filled up incredibly fast this year. Then came the entitlement. Well, she said, putting a hand on my arm, since your nephew got a spot, maybe he could give it to EK. I was floored. Du saw it. Give his spot? What do you mean? I registered him and paid the fee. Yes, I know, but EK needs it more, she stated matter-of-factly. He's genuinely gifted in that area. This class would be a waste on a child who isn't truly passionate like EK is. It would really help him get ahead. She implied my nephew wasn't truly passionate, despite me just telling her how excited he was. My nephew is very passionate about robotics, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He's been wanting to get into this class for years. I got up early just to make sure I could register him. I'm not giving up his spot. EP's tone turned cold. But you don't understand. This is crucial for EK's future. He could go to a top engineering school. Your nephew probably just sees it as a fun after-school thing. EK sees it as his destiny. She then tried guilt-tripping me. It would be a really kind thing to do, to let a truly deserving child have that opportunity. My nephew is also a deserving child, I replied, and he got the spot fair and square through the registration process. I can't just hand it over. There's a waiting list if you want to add EK's name to it. A waiting list? That could take forever. He needs to start now, she exclaimed. You're being incredibly selfish. You're denying a brilliant child a chance to fulfill his potential just so your average nephew can play with robots. She actually said average nephew to my face. I was getting angry now. He's not average, and even if he were, he followed the rules and got the spot. It's not yours to demand. I told her the conversation was over and walked away. As I left, she yelled after me about how I was ruining her son's future and how some people are just so unwilling to help others, especially talented children. I haven't seen her since, but I made sure to double check the registration was secure. The sheer entitlement to demand a spot someone else earned and paid for, based on her perceived superiority of her child, was truly something else. Demanding a paid spot because her kid needs it more? Classic EP move right there. If you want more stories exposing entitlement, definitely subscribe. EM tries to crash my private birthday party because her daughter wasn't invited and needs friends. I recently turned 30 and decided to have a relatively small birthday party at a rented space. Think a private room at a nice restaurant with a capacity limit. I invited my close friends and family, maybe 30 to 40 people total. It wasn't a huge open invitation bash, but a specific guest list based on who I wanted to celebrate with. One of my colleagues, EM, who I'm friendly with but not close friends, has a daughter, EG, around the same age as my best friend's daughter, who was invited because she's practically family. EG and my friend's daughter know each other from school. A few days before the party, EM approached me at work. So, about your party this weekend, she started. EG is so excited. She can't wait to hang out with best friend's daughter. I was confused. EG? Oh, I'm sorry, EM. It's just a small adult party. I didn't really invite kids, except for best friend's daughter because she's basically grown up with my family and is part of our close circle. EM's smile froze. What? You didn't invite EG? But they're friends. And it's a party. Children should be at parties. It's an adult party, I reiterated gently. The space has a capacity limit and the focus is really on the adults celebrating. I didn't send out general invitations for kids. EM's voice got sharp. But EG needs to be there. She doesn't have many friends, and it's important for her social development to attend events like this. You're denying her crucial social interaction. I was taken aback. I'm sorry, EM, but it's my private birthday party. I invited the people I wanted to celebrate with. It wasn't meant to be a play date or a social skills workshop for kids. That's incredibly selfish, she declared, loud enough for nearby colleagues to hear. How can you exclude a child, especially one who needs friends? My poor EG will be heartbroken when she finds out she can't go. You're being cruel. I tried to explain again that it wasn't a party for kids, that the venue wasn't set up for them, and that I had a strict guest list. I suggested maybe setting up a play date for the girls another time. EM ignored this. No, she needs to come to the party. It's unfair to invite best friend's daughter and not EG. You're playing favorites. Just add her to the list. It's one extra child. I can't, EM, I said firmly. The guest list is finalized and the venue has a capacity limit that I'm already close to. I'm sorry she's disappointed, but she's not invited. EM drew herself up. Oh, fine. If you won't invite her properly, I'll just bring her anyway. You can't turn away a child. It would be a terrible look for you. She smirked, clearly thinking she had won. EM, I said, my patience wearing thin. It's a private event at a venue I've paid for. The staff will have the guest list. If you show up with EG and you're not on the list, they won't let you in. Please don't make a scene. She scoffed, though. They won't turn away a mother and her child. Don't be ridiculous. We'll be there. She walked off before I could say anything else. I was genuinely worried she'd show up. I contacted the venue, explained the situation, and confirmed they would only allow guests on the list. On the day of the party, she actually did show up with EG. The venue staff politely but firmly told her they couldn't let them in as they weren't on the guest list. I saw her through the window arguing with them before she finally left, shooting daggers at me from the doorway. My friends thought it was hilarious and unbelievable. The entitlement to demand entry to a private, invited-only event because her kid needs to be there is just mind-blowing. EP demands I pay for her kid's broken scooter because my child distracted him. I was at the local park with my daughter, who was 7. She was playing on the swings, and I was sitting on a nearby bench, keeping an eye on her and reading a book. It was a fairly busy afternoon with lots of kids and parents around. A boy, maybe 8 or 9, EK, was riding his scooter erratically on the paved path near the playground. He was going quite fast and weaving around, not really paying attention. At one point, my daughter got off the swing and started walking towards the water fountain, which was near the path where EK was scooting. She wasn't on the path itself, but walking parallel to it, maybe 10 feet away. As EK zoomed past, he suddenly swerved, lost control, and crashed into a bench. His scooter skidded and hit the bench leg, and I heard a distinct crack. He immediately started crying, more from surprise and scraped knees than serious injury. His mom, EM, came running over. She helped him up, checked him over, and then picked up the scooter. The front wheel was definitely broken, snapped clean off where it attached to the frame. EM looked furious. She scanned the area, her eyes landing on my daughter, who was now at the water fountain, and then on me. She marched over to me, dragging the broken scooter. "Look what your daughter did," she accused, holding up the damaged scooter. I was confused. What? My daughter was at the water fountain. She didn't go near him. Yes, she did, EM insisted. She distracted him. He saw her walking and lost focus. That's why he crashed. It's her fault his scooter is broken. That's ridiculous, I said. He was riding too fast and not paying attention. My daughter was just walking to the fountain, nowhere near him or the path he was on when he crashed. She was a distraction, EM repeated, getting louder. If she hadn't been walking there, he wouldn't have crashed. You need to pay for this. It's an expensive scooter. She told me the brand and model, emphasizing how much it cost. She demanded I give her cash on the spot or write her a check to cover the replacement or repair. I'm absolutely not paying for your son's scooter, I said firmly. He broke it by riding recklessly. My daughter did nothing wrong and was not involved in his accident. She distracted him, EM shrieked. You think I'm blind? I saw him look at her. It's your responsibility as her parent to control her and make sure she doesn't cause accidents. You owe me. Other parents were starting to stare. EK, having stopped crying about his knee, started whining about his broken scooter, egged on by his mom's outburst. Your son crashed his scooter into a bench because he wasn't riding safely, I stated clearly. That is not my daughter's fault, and it's not my responsibility to pay for it. I hope his knee is okay, but the scooter is not my problem. EM became enraged. She started calling me names, saying I was a terrible parent, irresponsible, and trying to get out of paying for damage I caused. She threatened to call the police or sue me for the cost of the scooter and EK's scraped knees. Feel free to call the police, Akumaeda said, gesturing around the busy park. There are plenty of witnesses who saw your son riding dangerously and crashing into a stationary object with no one else involved in the immediate vicinity. I also pointed out that kids get scrapes at the park, and that's not something you sue over. She sputtered for a moment, realizing her threats weren't working with witnesses around. She finally just threw the broken scooter down near the bench it hit and stormed off, dragging the still whining EK with her. I checked on my daughter, who was thankfully oblivious to most of the argument. It's incredible how quickly some parents will try to shift blame and demand money for their child's own actions. She crashed because your kid existed. That's a new one. What's the craziest reason an EP ever demanded money from you? Tell us in the comments. EM demands I swap my reserved train seat with her kid because he wants the window and gets car sick. I travel by train frequently for work. I always book my tickets in advance and whenever possible reserve a specific seat. I prefer a window seat facing forward as I get motion sickness if I'm facing backward or if I don't have a visual reference point like the window. On a recent trip I had booked my preferred window seat months in advance. I settled in with my laptop and a book, looking forward to a few hours of quiet travel. A few stops in, a woman, EM, and her son, EK, who looked about 7, boarded and came down the aisle looking for their seats. They stopped at my row. EM looked at her ticket, then at me, then at EK. Her ticket was for the aisle seat next to mine. Excuse me, she said, gesturing to my window seat. My son needs that seat. I was surprised. Oh, I'm sorry, I have this seat reserved. This is my assigned seat. Yes, I see that, she said, as if I was being dense, but my son wants the window seat, and he gets really car sick if he doesn't have a window to look out of. You need to swap with him. I understand he wants the window, I replied, but I specifically reserved this seat because I also need a window seat, and I get motion sickness if I don't have one. It's my assigned seat. EM frowned, but motion sickness? Oh, please, you're an adult, you can handle it. He's a child, his needs are more important. He needs the window to prevent him from throwing up. EK, who had been silent, suddenly started making little gagging noises and looking pale, clearly taking cues from his mother. See? EM exclaimed, you're making him sick already just by being difficult. Just move. It's not a big deal for you. It is a big deal for me, I said. I reserved this seat for a reason. If he gets carsick, you should have reserved a window seat for him. Or maybe chosen a different mode of transport if it's that severe and you couldn't get the right seat. I can't give up my reserved seat. EM leaned in closer. You're being incredibly selfish. You're gonna let a poor child suffer with nausea just so you can have your preferred seat? What kind of person are you? She then tried guilt tripping. It's just one trip. You can manage for a few hours. I manage by reserving the seat I need, I stated, and I did that. My reservation takes precedence over his preference or your failure to book an appropriate seat. She straightened up, indignant. Fine. I'll just tell the conductor how you refuse to help a sick child. You'll probably get in trouble. She then tried a different tactic. Look, how about you just sit in the aisle seat? It's right there. It's basically the same. It's not the same for me, due to my own motion sickness issues, I explained again. And regardless, this is my reserved seat. You need to sit in the aisle seat that's assigned to you. EM huffed and finally, reluctantly, sat in the aisle seat, pulling EK onto her lap briefly before he squirmed into the seat next to her. She glared at me periodically throughout the journey. EK seemed perfectly fine the entire time, not a hint of nausea, mostly just playing on a tablet. The conductor did come by, checked tickets, saw the situation, and moved on without a word to me. The sheer entitlement to demand a reserved seat from a stranger, invent or exaggerate a medical issue, and expect someone else to accommodate their poor planning is just astounding. Seriously? Demanding someone's reserved train seat because your kid wants the window? The entitlement is unreal. If you can't get enough of these stories, make sure you like and subscribe now.